Senior researcher Kai-moon had been studying alien worlds for over 20 years. His job at the Galactic Council was simple: find new planets with life and add them to the big database. He had looked at thousands of worlds. Most were boring. Some had plants. A few had animals. Very few had smart creatures. Today felt like any other day. His computer showed him a yellow star with several planets around it. The third planet looked interesting. It had water. It had clouds. It had the right temperature for life. The computer called it Sol 3. Kai-moon pressed a button to start the deep scan. This would tell him what kind of life lived there. The machines would listen to their radio signals. They would look at their cities. They would learn their languages. He expected to find another normal world with creatures just starting to build machines. These young species always acted the same way. They would send radio messages into space. They would pollute their air. They would fight small wars over land and resources. But something strange happened when the translation program started working. The computer began making loud warning sounds. Red lights flashed everywhere. The screen showed words that made Kai-moon's blood run cold. The planet's people called their world Earth. That was normal. But they had another name too. A very old name. A name written in their oldest books and carved into ancient stones. A name that appeared in every culture on their planet, no matter how far apart they lived. They called it Eridu. Kai-moon's 3 hearts stopped beating for a moment. In all his years of research, in all the training about dangerous discoveries, this was the one name they were never supposed to find. The name that had been forbidden for 3 million years. He quickly locked his research room. No one else could come in now. His shaking hands pressed the emergency button that would send a message to the highest leaders of the Galactic Council. The message was simple but terrifying: Code Omega. Immediate council meeting required. Within 1 hour, his computer received replies from 12 different alien governments. They were all coming to his research station as fast as their ships could travel. Kai-moon had never seen the council leaders move so quickly for anything. The humans on Sol 3 had no idea that their small radio signals and internet messages had just changed everything in the galaxy. They went about their normal day. They worked at their jobs. They watched their television shows. They complained about traffic and weather. But high above their planet, in a space station they could not see, the most powerful beings in the galaxy were gathering for an emergency meeting. Some traveled from star systems so far away that light took decades to reach Earth. Others came from nearby worlds that humans had started to dream about visiting someday. As the alien ships arrived at the research station, Kai-moon noticed something he had never seen before. The ships were not flying in their usual proud formations. Instead, they moved slowly and carefully, like they were afraid. Some of the most powerful war fleets in the galaxy looked like scared children approaching a teacher's desk. The first to arrive was Admiral Hyjin from the Wolf system. Her people looked like tall humans but had silver skin and 4 arms. She was known for being brave in battle and never showing fear. But when she walked into the research station, her face was pale and her hands were shaking. "Is it confirmed?" she asked Kai-moon before even saying hello. "Yes," Kai-moon replied. "They know the name. They have always known the name." Next came General Minute-Ho from the Rigel colonies. His people were short and strong, with thick bones made for heavy gravity worlds. Behind him walked Ambassador Una from the Vega system. Her people had large heads and could speak with their minds instead of voices. One by one, 12 different alien species gathered in Kai-moon's small research room. These were beings who normally would never agree on anything. They fought wars over trade routes. They argued about territory. They had different laws and different beliefs about right and wrong. But now they all stood together in complete silence, staring at the evidence on Kai-moon's computer screen. Ancient human cave paintings showing star maps. Old religious books talking about visitors from the sky. Stone monuments built to point toward specific stars. And everywhere, in every human culture throughout their history, the word Eridu appeared again and again. Always with the same meaning. Always with the same symbol, a spiral galaxy with 1 star marked as special in the center. The silence in the room lasted for several minutes. Finally, Admiral Hyjin spoke in a whisper. "How long have they known?" Kai-moon checked his data. Based on their oldest writings, at least 12,000 of their years. Possibly longer. The knowledge seems to be built into their most basic stories and religions. General Minute-Ho made a sound like a growl. "This changes everything. If they know what Eridu really means, if they understand what their world really is, then the entire foundation of our civilization is built on lies." Ambassador Una used her mental voice to speak to everyone at once. The words appeared in their minds like thoughts. We must contact the High Council immediately. This is beyond anything we were trained to handle. As the emergency meeting began, none of them noticed that Earth's internet was already full of humans discussing strange lights appearing in their night sky. Amateur astronomers were posting pictures of unusual objects near their moon. Military radar operators were filing reports about ships that appeared and disappeared without following any known laws of physics. The secret that had been kept for 3 million years was about to be revealed, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. High Chancellor Jinwu had ruled the vegan hegemony for over 200 years. In all that time, he had never called an emergency meeting of the full Galactic Council. Today was different. Today, everything he believed about the universe was falling apart. His old scales were actually shaking as he stood before the great holographic display in the Council's most secret chamber. Around him sat representatives from every major power in the galaxy. The room was built for arguments and debates. Usually, these aliens could not agree on simple things like trade routes or mining rights. But today, nobody was arguing. Nobody was even talking. The silence was scary. Jinwu looked at the faces around him. There was Commander Sora from the Sirius system. Her people had blue skin and could live for over 500 years. Next to her sat General Wu Jin from the Altair colonies. His species had evolved on a world with 3 suns, so their eyes could see light that humans could not even imagine. Every single one of these powerful leaders looked afraid. "Show us the evidence again," Jinwu said in a quiet voice. Even though he was the High Chancellor, even though he was supposed to be brave, his voice was shaking. The holographic display came to life. Images appeared in the air above the table. Cave paintings from Earth that were over 30,000 years old. Clay tablets from ancient Babylon. Stone carvings from Egypt and South America. Religious texts from India and China. Every image showed the same thing. Humans had always known they were not alone. But that was not the scary part. The scary part was that humans knew exactly where they came from. In language after language, culture after culture, they used the same word. Eridu. And with that word, they always drew the same picture, a spiral galaxy with one special star in the center. "Look at this," said Dr. Taihe, the council's head scientist. She was from a species that looked like giant insects, but she was the smartest being in the galaxy when it came to ancient history. "This cave painting is from Australia. It shows beings coming down from the stars. But look at what they called the visitors." The hologram zoomed in on ancient symbols carved into rock. Even through the translation computers, the meaning was clear. The cave people had called the visitors the first people and those who came home. "And this," Dr. Taihe continued, showing a tablet covered in old writing. "This is from Sumeria, on the other side of Earth. Same time period. Same story. Beings from the stars who said they were returning to their birthplace." Ambassador J. Minute from the Proxima colonies made a sound like crying. His people never cried, but the sound was close enough to make everyone uncomfortable. "They know," he whispered. "By all the stars in the void, they actually know." The truth that was making everyone so scared was simple, but it changed everything. For 3 million years, every species in the galaxy had been told the same story when they first reached the stars. They were told that life had begun in many different places. They were told that their homeworld was special to them, but just one planet among billions. None of them were ever told about Eridu. None of them were ever told that all life in the galaxy had come from one single world. None of them were ever told that they were all children of the same species, scattered across the stars so long ago that they had forgotten their true home. Until now, only the highest members of the council knew this secret. It was written in books that were locked away so deep that most people did not even know they existed. The knowledge was passed down from leader to leader with the same warning: never let anyone know the truth until they are ready. But the humans were not ready. They were still fighting wars among themselves. They had barely begun to explore their own solar system. They did not even have faster-than-light travel yet. And somehow, they knew everything. "How is this possible?" asked Fleet Admiral Eugen from the Centauri systems. "We have studied hundreds of species as they developed. None of them ever remembered. The knowledge always faded after a few thousand years. How did the humans keep it alive for so long?" Dr. Taihe brought up more images. "Look at their religions. Look at their myths and legends. Every single human culture has stories about gods or angels coming from the sky. Every single culture talks about a time when advanced beings lived among them. But here is the strange part: they do not worship these beings as foreign gods. They call them ancestors." The room became even more quiet. That was information none of them had seen before. Their religious books do not talk about visitors from another world, Dr. Taihi explained. They talk about family members who went away and promised to come back. They talk about older brothers and sisters who left home to explore the universe. Captain Minute from the Rigel system stood up suddenly. She was a warrior who had fought in dozens of space battles, but now she looked like she might be sick. Are you saying that humans think we are their children? No, Dr. Taihi said quietly. I am saying that humans know we are their children. And they have been waiting for us to come home. The silence that followed was the deepest quiet that had ever existed in the council chambers. For the first time in galactic history, every species was thinking the same thought. If the humans were right, then everything they knew about themselves was wrong. Every war they had fought, every border they had drawn, every time they had called another species alien, they had been fighting their own family. Dr. Haiyun was having a normal day at her research station in Antarctica when the sky changed color. She had been studying ancient human settlements for 15 years, trying to understand how early people from different parts of Earth seemed to know the same stories. Her computer was full of cave paintings, old tablets, and stone carvings that all told similar tales about visitors from the stars. She was drinking coffee and looking at pictures of Sumerian tablets when the lights appeared. At first, she thought it might be the northern lights, even though they never appeared this far south. But these lights were different. They moved in straight lines and made perfect circles in the sky. Then the ships became visible. Haiyun had seen movies about alien ships, but those were nothing like what appeared above her research station. These ships did not come down slowly from space. They simply appeared, like someone had turned on a light switch. One moment the sky was empty, and the next moment 12 enormous ships were floating silently above the ice. The ships were beautiful in a way that made Haiyun feel sad and happy at the same time. They looked like they were grown rather than built, with smooth curves that reminded her of seashells or bird wings. Each ship was a different color, and each one seemed to glow with its own soft light. Haiyun was not afraid. She had spent her whole life studying evidence that humans were not alone in the universe. Part of her had always hoped this day would come. She walked outside into the cold Antarctic air and waited. A beam of light came down from the largest ship, and a figure appeared in the light. As it came closer, Haiyun could see that it looked almost human, but taller and thinner. Its skin was pale blue, and it had 4 arms instead of 2. When it spoke, the words came from a small device on its chest that translated the sounds into perfect Korean. Dr. Haiyun, the being said, "My name is High Chancellor Jinwoo. I come from a star system you call Vega. We need to talk." Haiyun nodded. "I have been waiting my whole life for this conversation." The Chancellor looked surprised. "You are not afraid?" "Should I be?" Haiyun asked. "Most species are frightened when they first meet beings from other worlds," Jinwoo replied. "But your people are different. Tell me, Dr. Haiyun, what do you know about the name Eridu?" Haiyun felt her heart beat faster. Eridu was the word that had appeared in every single one of her research projects. It was written in caves, carved in stone, and mentioned in the oldest books from every human culture. It means home of the gods in ancient Sumerian. But my research suggests it means something more than that. Jinwoo was quiet for a long moment. Around them, more beams of light came down from the other ships. Beings that looked like different versions of humans began to appear. Some were tall and thin with silver skin. Others were short and strong with thick bones. A few had large heads and eyes that seemed to glow. "Dr. Haiyun," Jinwoo said finally, "what I am about to tell you will change everything your species believes about itself. Are you ready?" "Yes," Haiyun said without hesitation. "Eridu is not just the ancient name for your world," Jinwoo explained. "It is the true name for what your world really is. Earth is not just another planet with life, Dr. Haiyun. Earth is the first world to have life. Earth is where all life in this galaxy began." Haiyun looked at the beings standing around her. Now that she looked more carefully, she could see that they all had something familiar about them. The tall ones with silver skin had faces that looked like human faces, just stretched and changed. The short strong ones had human eyes and human hands, even though their bodies were different. "You are saying that all of you came from Earth?" she asked. "We are all human, Dr. Haiyun," said another voice. "This came from a being with blue skin and large eyes. I am Commander Sora from the Sirius system. My ancestors left Earth 3 million years ago. We changed and adapted to our new world, but we are still your family." Haiyun sat down on a piece of ice. The information was too big for her mind to understand all at once. 3 million years? But humans have only been civilized for a few thousand years. The humans who stayed on Earth are not the humans who left, Jinwoo explained. Long ago, your species was far more advanced than you are now. They had technology that could cross the galaxy in days. They could change their bodies to live on any world. They were like gods compared to your current civilization. What happened to them? Hyun asked. They left, Sora answered. When your sun began to show signs of instability, they built great ships and sent their people to colonize other star systems. But something went wrong with the final evacuation. The most advanced humans left Earth, but some were left behind. Those humans lost their technology and had to start over. Hyun thought about all the ancient stories she had studied. Stories about gods and angels who promised to return. Stories about advanced beings who taught humans about farming and building and astronomy, then disappeared into the sky. The stories are true, she whispered. All of them, Jinwoo confirmed. Every myth, every legend, every religious text that talks about beings from the stars. Your ancestors were not making up stories. They were keeping memories alive. They were waiting for their family to come home. Hyun looked up at the ships floating silently above them. So you are not aliens at all? No, Sora said with a sound that might have been laughter. We are your children, Dr. Hyun. And we have been waiting 3 million years to meet our parents again. Hyun followed Jinwoo and Sora into their ship. She had expected the inside to look like the spaceships in movies, with lots of buttons and flashing lights. Instead, it looked more like a library. The walls were covered with screens showing images and text in languages she did not recognize. These are the records, Jinwoo explained as they walked through long hallways. Everything we know about the Great Migration is stored here. Your people call it mythology. We call it history. They entered a large room with a chair in the center. The walls, floor, and ceiling were all made of the same smooth material that could display images. Sit here, Sora said gently. What you are about to see will be difficult to understand. Hyun sat down, and the room filled with light. Suddenly, she was not in the ship anymore. She was floating in space, looking down at Earth. But this Earth looked different. The continents were in the wrong places. The ice caps were much smaller. And there were lights everywhere, not just on the land, but in the oceans and even in the sky. This is Earth 3 million years ago, Jinwoo's voice said, though she could not see him. Your sun was beginning to change. Our scientists knew it would become unstable in a few thousand years. The oceans would boil away. All life would end. The image changed, and Hyun found herself looking at cities that made modern human civilization look like ant hills. Buildings reached so high they touched the clouds. Ships moved through the air without making any sound. Gardens floated in the sky with no support. We were not the simple cave people your history books describe, Sora's voice continued. We had learned to change matter at the smallest level. We could travel to other stars as easily as you travel to another city. We had cured disease, stopped aging, and learned to change our bodies to live anywhere in the universe. Hyun watched in amazement as the ancient humans moved through their incredible cities. Some looked exactly like modern humans. Others had changed themselves in small ways, taller, stronger, with different colored skin or larger brains. When we knew our sun would die, we built the great ships, Jinwoo explained. The image changed again, showing enormous vessels being constructed in space. Each ship was the size of a small moon, with gardens and lakes and entire cities inside them. Each ship carried 10 million people and everything they would need to build a new civilization on a distant world. But we knew the journey would take thousands of years, even with our fastest ships. So we did something that had never been tried before. The image showed the inside of one of the ships. Hyun could see that the people were not just passengers, they were changing. Their bodies were being modified to survive on their destination planet before they even arrived. We changed ourselves to match the worlds we were going to, Sora said. The people going to high-gravity planets made their bones stronger and their hearts bigger. The people going to worlds with dangerous animals made themselves faster and tougher. The people going to worlds where they would need to communicate across long distances enhanced their minds. Hyun watched as the great ships launched from Earth, each one heading toward a different star. The people inside were already becoming something new, still human, but adapted for their new home. This is why we all look different now, Jinwoo explained. Commander Sora's people went to a world with 3 suns, so they developed the ability to see different kinds of light. My people went to a world covered in water, so we learned to hold our breath for hours and swim faster than any Earth creature. The image changed again, showing the ships arriving at distant worlds. Hyun watched as the modified humans built new cities and started new civilizations. Within a few generations, They looked so different from their ancestors that they seemed like completely different species. But something went wrong with the final ships, Sora continued. The image showed Earth again, but now it looked damaged. Storms covered most of the planet, and the great cities were in ruins. A solar flare hit Earth earlier than our scientists predicted. The most advanced humans had already left, but millions were still waiting for the last ships. The technology that could have saved them was destroyed. The knowledge of how to build it was lost. Hyun saw the survivors struggling in a world that had been knocked back to the Stone Age. These humans looked exactly like the early people she had studied in her research. They lost almost everything, Jinwoo said sadly. Their cities, their technology, their history. But they did not lose their memories. They remembered that their family had gone to the stars. They remembered the promise that someday, when Earth was safe again, their children would come home. The image faded, and Hyun found herself back in the ship's room. Jinwoo and Sora were standing beside her, both looking sad. So all of you, Hyun said slowly, everyone in the galaxy, you are all descended from humans who left Earth millions of years ago. Yes, Sora confirmed. We are your children, Hyun. All of us. The warlike Rigelians, the peaceful Centaurians, the mysterious Andromedans, we all came from the same small blue planet. Hyun thought about all the science fiction movies where humans met aliens and had to fight them or fear them. So there are no real aliens at all? None, Jinwoo said. Every intelligent species in this galaxy is human. We just forgot where we came from. Hyun smiled, even though she felt like crying. No wonder all our ancient stories talk about visitors from the stars. We were not making up fairy tales. We were keeping the memory alive, waiting for our family to come home. The great council chamber had never been so quiet. Hyun stood at the center of the room, looking up at representatives from 12 different star systems. A week ago, she would have called them aliens. Now she knew they were all her distant cousins, changed by millions of years and the vast distances between stars. High Chancellor Jinwoo sat on his throne, but he did not look like a powerful leader anymore. He looked like an old man carrying a weight too heavy for his shoulders. Around him, the other council members sat in complete silence. The Rigelian war chiefs, who were famous for their loud voices and quick tempers, had not spoken in hours. The Centaurian diplomats, who usually never stopped talking, stared at their hands. The question before us, Jinwoo finally said, is simple but terrible. Do we tell our people the truth? Hyun had spent the last week learning about galactic civilization. Every species had their own culture, their own beliefs, their own history. The blue-skinned people from Sirius believed they were chosen by the gods to explore space. The strong people from Rigel believed they had earned their place in the galaxy through conquest and strength. The telepathic people from Andromeda believed they were the most evolved beings in the universe. All of these beliefs were wrong. If we tell them the truth, said Admiral Hyjin from the Wolf system, everything they believe about themselves will be destroyed. Every war we have fought, every time we have called another species our enemy, we have been fighting our own family. Commander Sora stood up slowly. But if we do not tell them, we continue to live a lie. How many more wars will be fought between human children who do not know they are related? How many more resources will be wasted on conflicts that should never happen? Hyun listened to the debate, but she could see that everyone already knew what they had to decide. The truth was too big and too dangerous to share. Most species could barely handle meeting one other intelligent race. Learning that every intelligent race was actually the same species would cause panic, chaos, and probably more wars than it would prevent. There is another problem, said Dr. Tai-hee, the insect-like scientist. If we tell our people that humans on Earth are their ancestors, what will they do? Some might want to worship them. Others might want to conquer them. Earth is not ready for that kind of attention. Hyun thought about her home planet. Humans were still fighting wars over oil, land, and religious differences. They had nuclear weapons but barely understood how dangerous they were. If 12 advanced galactic civilizations suddenly appeared and announced they were all related, human society might collapse from the shock. I have a proposal, Hyun said. Every head in the chamber turned to look at her. What if we wait? Jinwoo leaned forward. Explain. Humans on Earth are developing quickly, Hyun continued. In the last 100 years, we have learned to fly, split the atom, and send messages around the world instantly. In another 100 years, we might be ready for space travel. In another 1,000 years, we might be ready for the truth. But what about the rest of the galaxy? Asked General Minute Ho from Rigel. Do we tell them, or do we keep the secret from everyone? The silence that followed was the heaviest one yet. Finally, Ambassador UNA from Vega spoke with her mental voice, sending thoughts directly into everyone's mind. If we tell only the council leaders, the secret will eventually leak out. Secrets this big cannot be kept forever. But if we tell everyone at once, we risk destroying galactic civilization. Then we vote, Jinwoo announced. All in favor of keeping the knowledge classified at the highest levels until Earth is ready for contact. One by one, every representative raised their hand or made their species sign of agreement. The vote was unanimous in a way no council decision had ever been before. It is decided, Jinwoo said. The knowledge of Earth's true identity will remain classified. Earth will be allowed to develop naturally. When they are ready for space travel and contact with other species, we will reveal the truth gradually. Hyun felt both relief and sadness. What happens to me? I cannot go back to Earth and pretend I do not know any of this. You will be our ambassador, Sora said with what might have been a smile. You will stay here and help us prepare for the day when your people are ready. You will also help us learn about modern human culture, so we know how to approach your species when the time comes. As the council meeting ended, Hyun walked to a window that looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, where billions of humans lived their lives without knowing they were surrounded by their own children. But Hyun carried one more secret that even the council did not know yet. While exploring the ship's database, she had discovered something amazing. The original humans had not just sent people to other stars in this galaxy. They had also sent ships to other galaxies entirely. Deep in the council's most classified files were coordinates to 17 other galaxies where human colonies had been established. Those colonies had been completely cut off when Earth's technology failed. For 3 million years, they had been developing on their own. The humans of Earth were not just the parents of one galaxy's civilization. They were the ancestors of multiple galaxies, filled with billions of human descendants who had no idea where they really came from. The silence across the galaxy was not just about contemplation or fear. It was the quiet before a reunion that would span multiple universes and reunite a family separated by time and impossible distances. And somewhere in the deepest archives, automated messages were still being sent toward those distant galaxies, carrying one simple message: the homeworld is safe. The children can come home.